All right, let's dive in. Today, we're looking at something so many of us dream about, speaking English fluently. And you know how we like to do things a little differently around here? Our source material today is, well, unique.
Unique is putting it lightly.
Haha, yeah, you could say that. We found this YouTube video. It's this crazy, endless loop of someone running into the same problems over and over.
Asking for help with their English.
Yeah, or sometimes it's a technical issue, like with their car or their printer.
Or the internet's down. It's wild.
It really is. Honestly, it's hilarious. It's like a comedy sketch almost.
Right.
But it actually made me think about language learning, I mean. Have you ever felt stuck like that? Wanting to say something, but not having the words?
Absolutely. It's such a common experience. And this video, even though it's, kind of funny, it highlights something really important.
What's that?
It shows the difference between just like absorbing information passively.
Yeah.
Versus actually, speaking the language.
Oh, totally. Like in the video, the person keeps saying they've been practicing for a month, but they're just watching videos, and the advice they get is always listen and repeat. That's a classic tip for sure, but is that really all it takes to become fluent? I'm not so sure.
It's definitely a good place to start. I think of it like building a house. Listen and repeat is laying the foundation right.
Okay, yeah. Getting those sounds, those basic structures.
Exactly. But you wouldn't stop there, right? You need to build the walls, put on the roof, all those details that make it a real home.
I see where you're going with this. So for language, you're saying listen and repeat is just the first step.
Yeah. To really build fluency, you got to go beyond just listening. You have to actually use what you're learning.
So true. So what are some ways people can do that? I remember when I was learning Spanish, I tried language exchange.
Oh, nice.
And I'd record myself speaking to, hear how I sounded. Did you ever do stuff like that?
For sure. Those are both great ways to practice. Language exchange is awesome because you have a real conversation partner, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Someone who's also learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can help each other out. And recording yourself, that's like having a mirror for your pronunciation. You can really pinpoint what you need to work on.
It's so helpful. I would cringe listening back sometimes, but hey, you gotta hear it to fix it, right?
Exactly. It's all part of the process. But there's another technique I really love. It's called shadowing.
Shadowing? I haven't heard of that one.
So you listen to a native speaker and you basically try to imitate them in real time.
Whoa, like at the exact same time.
Mm-hmm. You try to match their rhythm, their intonation, everything.
Wow, that sounds intense.
It is, but it really helps you internalize those natural speech patterns. It's like a vocal workout.
So you're like becoming their shadow.
Exactly. And another thing you can do is focus on specific things that are tricky for you. Certain sounds or combinations that you trip up on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There are tons of resources online that break down those pronunciation challenges.
Oh, cool. So you can really zero in on what you need to work on.
Exactly. It's like having a personal trainer for your pronunciation.
I love that. And speaking of challenges, this video actually brings up something that I think a lot of people learning English struggle with: confidence.
Oh yeah, for sure. Confidence is huge.
There's this part where the person in the video says, building confidence takes time. It can take several months. For someone who's maybe feeling unsure about their English, what do you think? Does that sound encouraging? Or does it sound kind of daunting, like, ooh, this is going to take forever?
That's such a great point. It really depends on your mindset, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get caught up in the timeline, several months. That can feel like a lifetime when you want to speak fluently now.
Right. So how do we reframe that idea of time? How do we make it feel less overwhelming?
Instead of focusing on that end goal, that finish line, what if we focus on the journey? The beauty of language learning is that it's a constant process of discovering new things, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone.
I like that. Embracing the journey instead of just fixating on the destination.
Exactly. Making mistakes,
Yeah.
learning from them. Every conversation, every time you try to express yourself, it's a step forward, no matter how long it takes to get to that fluent stage.
Yeah, it's like we're not just learning the language, we're learning about ourselves in the process.
You got it. And that brings us to another interesting thing about this video.
Oh.
It kind of accidentally touches on the emotional side of language learning.
Yeah, I see that.
Like we have to talk about grammar rules, vocabulary.
Right.
But what about the feeling you get when you're putting yourself out there?
Oh, yeah. The fear of making a mistake, sounding dumb.
Exactly. That feeling of vulnerability.
Oh, big time. I remember when I first started traveling, just trying to order food in a restaurant, my heart would be pounding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd get so tongue-tied. My face would turn red.
I've been there.
It's like this fear takes over, I'm going to sound so stupid.
You know, it's so common, and it's something we don't talk about enough, I think, in language learning.
Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, think about little kids. When they're first learning to talk,
Yeah.
they make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
Mispronouncing words, jumbling up sentences.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But they keep going. They're not afraid to experiment.
They just don't care.
Right. But somewhere along the way, we kind of lose that.
We get self-conscious.
Yeah. We start worrying about making mistakes. And that can really hold us back.
It's true.
We trade that playfulness, that fearlessness for this need to be perfect.
Which ironically makes us less fluent.
Exactly.
Right.
So how do we get out of that trap? How do we get back to that fearless learner we used to be?
I don't know. How do we?
Well, one thing we can try is to change how we think about mistakes
Okay.
instead of seeing them as failures.
Right, like, ugh, I messed up again.
Exactly. What if we saw them as feedback?
Okay, yeah.
Like valuable information that helps us get better.
Interesting.
Every mistake is a chance to learn and adjust how we're doing things.
It's like those posters, you know? Fail forward.
Exactly. Each stumble is a chance to learn and grow.
I like that. But speaking of stumbling, one thing I noticed about this YouTube video, it's super repetitive.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same problems over and over. The car won't start, the printer's jammed, the internet's down.
It's like a broken record.
It makes me wonder if they're even trying to fix these things.
You know, it's funny, but there's actually a really cool metaphor in that repetition.
Oh, tell me more.
On the surface, it looks like they're just stuck.
Right, like going nowhere.
But if you look closer, they're actually showing a really important skill.
Which is?
Troubleshooting. Every time they run into a problem, they break it down, they check things, they try different solutions.
Just systematic about it.
Yeah. And eventually they figure it out.
So they're learning how to solve problems, basically.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, those problem-solving skills, they can be used for way more than just tech issues.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Think about challenges in your own life. Maybe it's a tough project at work, or a personal setback.
Right, or even something small, like trying a new recipe and it flops.
Exactly. You can use those same steps, figure out what the problem is, break it down, try different things, and learn as you go.
It's like that saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Right, but here's the thing. We're not just blindly repeating the same thing over and over.
We're learning each time.
Yeah, we're gathering information, getting better at figuring things out.
So we're becoming better problem solvers.
You got it, and that's where it connects back to language learning.
Okay, how so?
When we learn a new language, we're basically troubleshooting all the time.
I never thought about it like that.
Right. We're trying to understand grammar rules, pronunciation, how to, navigate social situations.
It's a constant process of trial and error.
Exactly. We try things, we make mistakes, we adjust, we try again.
So it's not just about memorizing words and grammar rules.
It's about developing that resilience.
That ability to keep going even when it's tough.
Exactly. That problem-solving mindset that helps us get through the challenges in language and in life.
It goes deeper than just speaking fluently.
It really does.
And that brings us back to confidence, doesn't it?
It all ties together, yeah.
Maybe confidence isn't just about reaching a certain level of fluency.
Maybe it's more about knowing that you can handle the challenges.
Knowing you have the tools and the mindset to figure things out.
Even if it takes a few tries.
Even if you have to loop around a few times to get there. Wow, it's amazing what we can learn from a simple YouTube video.
Right. Who knew a silly endless loop could spark so many ideas about language learning? And about learning in general, really.
Totally. It's like everything's connected. We start talking about pronunciation, grammar, and now we're talking about confidence, resilience, problem solving. It's all woven together.
Yeah, it really is.
So for everyone listening, I'm curious, what stood out to you the most so far? What's been the biggest aha moment in this deep dive?
That's a good question. For me, it goes back to that idea of reframing mistakes. We often see them as these roadblocks.
Yeah.
But what if we saw them as data? Like valuable information.
Oh, I like that, like clues.
Exactly. Clues that help us figure out how to learn better.
So every mistake is actually an opportunity.
To adjust, to improve, to get closer to fluency. Not just in language, but in anything we're learning.
I love that. It's like we're all scientists in our own language lab, experimenting, observing, making adjustments.
Exactly.
And it brings us back to that image of the video, right? Stuck in that endless loop. It'd be easy to see that as a symbol of being trapped.
Right, like making zero progress.
Yeah, exactly. But what if we flip that around?
Ooh, I like where you're going with this.
What if that loop actually represents persistence?
Ooh, interesting.
That willingness to keep trying even when we hit the same roadblocks.
It's almost like a testament to the human spirit.
Yeah, that ability to adapt, to keep learning no matter what.
I love that.
So the video might be stuck in a loop, but are we really stuck? Or are we, like that person in the video, always looking for solutions, refining our approach, and ultimately moving forward?
It's a powerful question. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. And it's something I'm going to keep thinking about long after this deep dive is over.
Me too. And it reminds us that learning isn't always straightforward. You know, it's not a straight line from A to B.
It's messy, it's unpredictable.
Exactly. There are twists and turns and, yeah, even those loops that can feel frustrating. But those loops, they're often where the biggest breakthroughs happen.
The biggest growth.
Exactly.
Well, this has been such a fascinating conversation. Thank you for joining me today and for sharing all these incredible insights.
It's been my pleasure. It's always fun to dive deep with you.
And to everyone listening, remember, whether you're learning English, tackling a new project, or facing any kind of challenge, embrace those loops. They might just be the key to unlocking your full potential.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Until next time, happy diving, everyone.